Hello, I'm going to do another beer review here. The purpose of this beer review is to put to rest some of the biases that many beer drinkers have. For instance, Europeans are biased against American beer because they say it's watery, weak. They say American beer is like making love in a boat, fucking close to water. Microbrew drinkers, or beer snobs, put down American beer because they also say it's weak, lacks flavor, is watery. And a lot of microbrew drinkers or beer snobs will praise European lagers as being so much better than American lagers. Well, I'm going to put these ideas to test. I want to see what the difference is between American adjunct lagers or big beer and European lagers, such as Bavaria and Helles lagers, Hofbräu, and Spaten. I have 5 beers in identical glasses, and I didn't know which beer was which. I've already done a taste test and already ranked them, and I made a video, but for some reason the sound didn't work, so I have to do this again. But I know which beer is which. But I'll save the ranking for last, because maybe, I'll rank them differently this time. I don't know. But I do know which ones they are. But at the end, I'll tell you how I ranked them and how I ranked them this time. I did a previous video, and that included the beers Budweiser, Miller High Life, Boston Lager, and Spaten Premium Lager. And in that video, I ranked the Boston Lager the highest. And you would expect that. It's simply more flavorful, the stronger beer. Followed by Budweiser, followed by Miller High Life, and bringing up the rear was Spaten Premium Lager. And that was surprising to me, because that's the Bavarian lager, and you would expect, and as everybody says, oh, these German beers are so much better than American beers, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Spaten Premium Lager was watery compared to the American beers. They say that American beers are watery. Well, that German beer was even more watery. But that was that one time, and I'm going to do it again. But in this case, I have 5 beers. 2 Germans and 3 Americans. The 2 German beers that I have are Spaten Premium Lager and Hofbräu Original Lager. The 3 American beers I have are Budweiser, Miller High Life, and Michelob Original Lager. So we have 2 Helles lagers, 2 adjunct lagers, and 1 American Pale Lager, the Michelob. The Michelob is not an adjunct lager. So you would think that it would be better than the adjunct lager, since everybody hates adjunct lagers, right? So we'll see. Now, here are the beers, and I honestly don't know if you'll be able to get this. They all look the same, pretty much. You really can't tell the difference between them, except this one, it might look a little darker. This one might be darker, but it might be the lighting. So, let's just see. Move it around to here. And does it still appear darker? No, not necessarily. And what about this one who was darker before? Is it darker now? Yes, it is. So this one is definitely darker than the others. Now, let's taste it. Smell it. Okay, this got a nice aroma to it. You can tell this is a European beer because it's got that smell to it. Now, maybe that's the malty smell. Some people call it a skunky smell, but I think it's really a malty smell. strong. It's got a good flavor to it. Now the second one. Stronger. I can't really detect any kind of aroma from this, but taste-wise, the first two are very similar. Maybe the edge going to the second one is being a tad bit more of a flavor to it. And that doesn't necessarily mean a good flavor. It's just it's more flavorful. This is the third one. Definitely weaker than the first two. Tad bit more watery, less of a bite. Now keep in mind, these beers have been sitting out for a while, so they're not as cold as they were. When they were colder, they were all very much more similar. But now that they're warmed up a bit, now that they've warmed up a bit, I can tell more of a difference between them. Now for the fourth one. Now let's go back to the third one. The third and fourth one, it might as well be the same beer. You can't tell the difference between them. The last one. The flavor of the last one is more rich than the previous two. But not as strong as the first two. And keep in mind, these beers are approaching room temperature. They were cold when I did this a while ago, but they've warmed up. When I initially did this, the glasses were full. Now they're less than half full. This one, number 5, is a tad bit stronger than number 3 and 4. Well, this is how they rank, and this is what they are, and this is how I rank them. And I'll tell you how I ranked them before when they were all cold. When they were cold, the number 1 beer was Spaten Premium Lager. And I was surprised because when I did a beer comparison earlier, the Spaten came in last. It was the most watery and weakest tasting. Maybe it was just a bad bottle, I don't know. But the Spaten Premium Lager, when they were cold, just when I did this about 30 to 60 minutes ago, I ranked that number 1 as the best, followed by Hofbräu Original Lager. Now that they are approaching room temperature, a little bit warmer, I'm saying the Hofbräu Premium Lager is better than the Spaten. But I'm still giving both the German beers first and second place. So, at room temperature or close to it, Hofbräu is number 1, Spaten Premium Lager is number 2. Cold, Spaten Premium Lager is number 1, Hofbräu is number 2. The Michelob Original Lager. At room temperature, the Michelob Original Lager comes in at 3rd place. But when it was cold, it was very weak. It was watery. But now that it's warmed up a bit, it's number 3. It's definitely stronger than the Budweiser and the Miller. So I'm giving the Michelob number 3 here at close to room temperature. And When they were cold, the Budweiser and the Miller High Life were virtually indistinguishable. I couldn't tell the difference between one or the other. Now that they've warmed up a bit to close to room temperature, they're still virtually identical, and I can't tell the difference between one or the other. And I'm bringing those in at fourth place, tied for fourth, because you can't tell. You really can't tell. The only difference between them, and I'll show you, is the Miller seems to retain more of a head. This is the Miller, and this is Budweiser. And this head has been on there, you know, it's always had more of a head to it than the Budweiser throughout this entire test. Even when I poured these quite some time ago, when the glass was full. So, that's the only way I would know the difference between a Miller and Budweiser by looking at it. And it seems that in this case, Miller has more of a head. But maybe it was just the cans that I happened to pour. Because when I did this with other beers, I couldn't tell. The Miller didn't have more of a head. So, the German beers are indeed better than the American adjunct lagers and even the American pale lager Michelob. They are slightly more flavorful, slightly stronger tasting. They have more of a bite to them, less watery. But that was in this comparison. When I did it before, the Spaten was more watery, so there seems to be some inconsistency. But in this particular test, Hofbräu is number 1, Spaten is number 2. Number 3 goes to Michelob Original Lager. Number 4 is a tie between Budweiser and Miller High Life. Thanks for watching.